Self-improvement writer, Dale Carnegie focuses on working with and influencing people. As educators, this would include dealings with students, colleagues, administrators, and parents. In his text, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Carnegie shares fundamental techniques in handling people, such as the importance of removing criticism, giving honest appreciation, and arousing in others an eager desire. Additionally, Carnegie believes that we should show genuine interest in others by smiling, remembering names, being a good listener, talking in terms of the other's interests, and making others feel important. It is essential for us as educators to possess these skills because we know that students perform more for teachers that they like. Dale Carnegie also provides suggestions for leaders on how to change people to their way of thinking without giving offense or arousing resentment. We suggest that each leader in the county read Carnegie's book to gain tips on how to begin with praise, show humility, use encouragement, and win people over to their way of thinking.
The tools that you are gaining will be most effective long-term in your toolbox as you acquire the habits of change. According to Stephen R. Covey, in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, a change in perception changes us fundamentally, which ultimately changes our actions. After a thorough evaluation of our paradigms, this process begins with the first 3 habits. Be proactive, begin with the end in mind, and put first things first. Understanding our control over our responses, goal-centered activities, and management of self are strategies within these habits to establish independence. The next 3 more interactive habits are think, win, seek first to understand, then be understood, and synergize. These habits promote interdependent relationships through mutual benefits, listening with empathy, and valuing differences. Finally, renewal is found in the last habit, sharpen the saw, which builds the capacity to maintain all habits. If you want to be more effective with students and collaborative teams, you will benefit from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
To enable the skills teachers acquired from this training to be implemented, Stephen Covey instructs that trust is necessary. In his book, The Speed of Trust, The One Thing That Changes Everything, Covey outlines the positive effect of having a trust dividend in your workplace. A trust dividend allows for increased speed and lowers operational or personal costs. The opposite, a trust tax, slows progress and increases the costs, affecting performance. According to Covey, credibility is a needed factor to build trust and is represented by 4 cores: integrity as the roots of our character, intent is the reason we do things, capability is our capacity to perform duties well, and finally results as the concrete deliverables that build others' trust in our abilities. A low ropes course, such as at Schenck National Forest, would provide non-threatening and innovative challenges to foster trust in a school staff. Unknown skills are often discovered, reinforcing credibility and increasing respect for the diversity and talents in a staff.
Leadership, at its core, is exemplified when one has a formidable degree of emotional intelligence and self-knowledge. Emotional intelligence is the ability to work with others and effectiveness in leading change. It consists of 5 components: self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, social skill, and empathy. A leader with high emotional intelligence has a highly engaged staff, as the needs of the team are factored into decision-making. Self-knowledge can be augmented through completing the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, which is a questionnaire that identifies the psychological preferences one has in his or her view of the world and the people around them. The preferences in the survey provide context around sensing, intuitive, introversion, and extroversion types. Both emotional intelligence and the Myers-Briggs Type Indicators provide ways for an effective leader to examine from within and interact with the world.
Self-awareness guides us to identifying the underlying structures of our interactions and ultimately aids us in meeting our goals. BB&T Leadership Training uses the Strengths Deployment Inventory to analyze strengths, beliefs, and triggers under 2 conditions: when things are going well and in conflict. Within the SDI, the Motivational Value System shows how we assess our concerns for people, performance, and process when things are going well. In addition, it reveals the conflict sequence, which measures our motives during conflict. The information from the SDI is then used to evaluate the behaviors and beliefs which support or interfere with our leadership purpose. Once interferences are identified, the self-check process is implemented to replace ineffective beliefs, emotions, and behaviors. The positive replacements include active listening, solution-focused problem solving, appropriate feedback, and engaging conflict with purpose. This training provides a practical lens to improve the relationships which lead to our accomplishments. Crucial conversations will inevitably arise when growing leaders, team members, and students. You know a conversation has become crucial by high stakes and emotions that manifest. Fortunately, there are operative skills to handle these conversations well and conclude with all parties listened to, respected, and active in addressing the essential purpose. The process begins with reflecting on personal stance, whether silence or violence, then working to center and gain mutual meaning in the conversation. Along the way, you should analyze your perception or story and compare it to the others by stating the facts, telling your story, and asking for the alternative perception, making the conversation safe for honest dialogue. You can further explore the skills to be successful in crucial conversations, such as mirroring, paraphrasing, and priming for safety by reading Crucial Conversations by Carrie Patterson. These skills are sure to improve decision making and problem solving while preserving positive relationships.
Is a process that uses purposeful planning to ensure that there's curriculum development in place with student learning at its core. Understanding by design has 3 stages. The first is determining the desired results you want to achieve. Second, the acceptable forms of evidence that will show student learning. And third, describing the learning experiences that will occur. Understanding by design, or UBD, is an approach that incorporates a backwards design. It has 8 key tenets of understanding. They are thinking purposefully about curricular planning, developing student understanding, unpacking content standards, students make sense of and transfer their learning, curriculum is planned backwards with the end in mind, teachers serve as coaches of understanding, regular reviews of units are held, UBD is about continuous improvement and growth in student achievement. If you remember one thing, it is that understanding by design is beginning with the end in mind.
Education icon Madeline Hunter's classic text, Mastery Teaching, continues to provide a relevant framework for lesson planning. Hooking students with an anticipatory set to focus student attention immediately is the Hunter model for establishing the expectation that learning is forthcoming. Stating the lesson's learning objective is an integral part of this first lesson element. Instructional input is next presented in an organized and clear manner in a masterful lesson to ensure retention, followed by modeling of the newly presented material through examples, items, or processes. Checking for understanding through strong questions and activities provides a master teacher the information necessary to redirect a lesson at this point. Meaningful guided practice that addresses the lesson objective with fidelity should be undertaken next with fading teacher support. Independent practice is the 5th step of the Hunter Master lesson, as she writes that practice does not make perfect, it makes permanent. Closure of a lesson provides a final check for understanding and reinforcement of the objective. Building lessons upon this formidable Hunter methodology ensures all classrooms are ones that we would want our own children in. Teach Like a Champion 2.0, Doug Lemov shares several instructional skills to enhance foundations gained from UBD, Madeline Hunter, and Harry Wong's First Days of School. Lemov defines 62 specific techniques that, when used to support instruction, significantly improve the efficacy of student learning. These techniques are grouped into 12 interconnected topics: real-time data and its use to direct instruction, setting high expectations, planning for success, lesson structure, pacing, building ratio or rigor through questioning, writing, and discussion, establishing systems and routines, holding high behavioral expectations, and finally creating an environment of strong character and trust to ensure these are accepted. Teachers will be strengthened by Lemov's techniques in addition to Harry Wong's techniques in First Days of School. Student confidence from accomplishments, pride from learning, and the resulting increase in standardized test scores will all be positive outcomes of implementing Teach Like a Champion and Wong techniques.
After considering the aforementioned teaching strategies, it becomes vital to jump into Make It Stick, the science of successful learning. In this text, Peter Brown and his co-authors explain what's wrong with the ways we have been taught to learn, as well as strategies that are most effective for learning based on brain research. The authors explain how memory is integral in our ability to learn. They discuss practices that we have been using forever, but that don't produce the desired results. According to the authors, some of the best practices for making learning stick in the brains of students require distributing or spacing practice over longer periods of time, interleaving practice with a variety of different skills or content, and retrieving practice by self-testing to determine current levels of understanding. The authors also discuss the positive effect of utilizing generation, elaboration, reflection, and mnemonic devices. Utilizing these unintuitive practices will surely make that information finally stick.
Would you agree that all students should be able to use printed and written information to function in society, to achieve their goals, and develop their knowledge and potential? If you answered yes, you have already discovered the importance of literacy. Students begin their literacy journey with the foundational stages of reading. If a student struggles with reading and writing in these beginning stages, interventions should be implemented immediately, along with evaluation for learning disabilities that could easily be missed. One of these disabilities is dyslexia, which affects 1 in 5 people. Keep in mind that all learners vary in their skills, needs, and interests around learning. For this reason, Universal Design for Learning provides 9 distinct guidelines to make learning and literacy accessible to all students. Another essential component to student accessibility is a school literacy plan developed by the leaders of the school, where ideally all teachers in the building become literacy teachers, because literacy isn't just a K-12 matter, it's a K-Life matter.
Point, you may be thinking, if teachers get all of these trainings and have a solid understanding of lesson planning and great instructional practices in their toolkits, what is an effective way for them to deliver instruction to ensure that they are maximizing the learning of all of their students? Dr. Lodge McCammon developed the theory behind the flipped classroom. According to his research, McCammon found that a teacher can reduce a 60 to 70 minute live lecture into a 12 to 15 minute video lecture. By recording lectures, teachers no longer need to worry about school-based interruptions, student distractions, or having to answer too many questions during teaching. Additionally, by simply recording teacher lectures, students have the opportunity to preview and review videos to suit their learning needs. By limiting lecture time, teachers can provide students with more time to engage in 4C's focused work. Dr. McCammon even believes in having students record their own responses to lecture content in order to fully engage in the learning process. Dr. McCammon's website will be a great resource for our educators as they learn more information about the flipped classroom concept.
After providing previous trainings to address basic instructional strategies, let's also strengthen our teacher skills with serving students living in poverty. From the book, Turning High Poverty Schools into High-Performing Schools, 5 qualities of an effective school culture were named. 1. High expectations for adults and students with needed supports. 2. A commitment to equity. 3. Staff accountability for learning. 4. Courage and will to impact the lives of our students living in poverty. And 5. Authentic and caring relationships. Examining one's current beliefs on poverty is the first place for each teacher to initiate professional growth to then craft a productive classroom culture from. Classrooms that are emotionally safe, connected to families and communities, flexible, curriculum-focused, data-guided, and always mindful of removing barriers can revolutionize learning for our students living in poverty. For deeper learning, Engaging Students in Poverty by Eric Jensen is an excellent companion text for a follow-up staff book club.
As we continue to talk about topics centered around student learning and relationship building, restorative discipline is an important subject. It encourages cohesion among staff and students when addressing wrongful actions that have been committed by a student towards another person. This approach works best when you're proactive in planning as an educational leader, using essential questions to answer, such as what steps can I take to assist staff in identifying desired behaviors in students, helps balance the perception of your role in the building by students compared to the intent of restorative discipline. Strategies such as circles for dialogue and community building can be used when students cause harm towards peers, and a 2x10 model where a staff person speaks with a student for 2 minutes for 10 consecutive conversations. Also, the use of interventions that lead to positive outcomes, such as parent conferences and academic contracts, can help produce desired results. As you continue to learn more from this training, you can remember restorative discipline for its focus on building relationships with students and positive results. The book, Beyond Carrots and Sticks, Restorative Practices by Dominique Smith, highlights these strategies further.
After the participants have experienced and absorbed these specialty trainings, we would ask them to interact with the overarching question in their preferred method. How would the application of these professional development topics positively impact student growth and achievement?